And now for our feature presentation.
Well, you see, I woke up like less than a half hour ago, so
So you win?
it's not a competition, but, you know, if you want to keep track. I guess you win, because it sounds like you probably woke up at a normal-ass time this
Yeah,
morning.
7:30.
Okay, well, no, that's a little... It's not normal in the other direction, I'd argue.
Okay, fair. But we're not here today to talk about the streamers' sleeping habits.
No, we're not. We're here to spill water in our beard and talk about Glass Onion.
That sounds very accurate. Just a little too accurate.
This is why the tissues. People who watch the pre-stream were wondering, why did he get the tissues?
Is that me? Am I
No,
the only person who watched the pre-stream?
There's a secret. You see that Harley Quinn? She's got a camera in her eye.
Oh shit! That's a second pop figure with a camera on it in this room.
Wait, what? Oh shit! You're right. Dude, don't tell people how janky our setup is.
This is a great start. Let's talk about fucking Glass Onion.
Well, shut your mouth. Because what if
honorable mention?
What if I want to talk about? What if I'm legally obligated to talk about season 1 of The Watcher first?
Oh shit! Yes, I want to hear your thoughts on The Watcher. For whatever reason, I thought it was gonna get an episode. It doesn't need an episode though.
No, I don't think so. I did like it, but I agree that I don't think it needs an episode. So yeah, just to be more structured, we're gonna talk about Glass Onion. This is our Glass Onion podcast. After you do that, we're gonna talk about Brahmastra, which is a new Indian cinema film that you can actually find on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So it's easy to watch. But first, we're gonna talk about honorable mentions, other stuff we might have done. Other stuff we might have watched the last couple weeks.
I don't know if I've talked about this. This yellow shirt.
Yeah.
The sleeves are just way too short. If I want to wear a shirt under it.
I'm
looking
noticing
like a
that now.
Looking like somebody who doesn't know how to dress.
Hello, Jim Boy 491. Welcome on in.
I think.
Thank you for being here.
I think that's my brother-in-law.
Oh, that would make sense.
Hey man,
what's up?
Thanks for joining. If it is, if not, that's fine. It'd be funny if it wasn't, and this guy's just gonna pretend to be Jimbo.
Yeah, whoever it is, thank you for being here. And we're gonna talk about everything else that's not Glass Onion before we talk about Glass Onion.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Confirmation from my wife and him. It's him.
Cool. Awesome. Welcome on in. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
For being here. Sorry, it's not Elden Ring. I know that you've been wanting us to play that.
Yeah, I want us to play Elden Ring now.
We could do it. I'll do it.
I'll do it.
We can figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay, so I watched The Watcher. Spoilers, just in case.
Yeah.
Because
be prepared.
We've both watched it now. So here's what's up. I really liked it. And I think you said this when you watched it. I couldn't stop watching it.
Oh my god! Yeah.
It took me 2 days to finish it.
Same.
It's only 7 episodes. It's a really quick watch. So even if you're on like episode 3 and you're like, I don't know, you're just halfway done.
Oh shit! We're getting called out for 100% Elden Ring run.
Oh no. Oh no. That if we started the way we do stream, if we started that now, I think like without exaggerating, without going over, I think we'd finish in 2027. I'm gonna say May 2027 if we started.
2027.
If we started this Sunday,
the anniversary of this channel, anniversary month.
Okay, so here's what's up with The Watcher.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. I did not enjoy the last episode.
Okay. Is it because it wasn't conclusive enough, or just that the last like couple minutes where shit hit the fan?
I didn't like that. I didn't. Well, here's what I'm gonna say. I didn't like that everything wasn't explained. I don't mind that it wasn't conclusive because I knew going into this that this case was still open in real life.
Yeah.
So when you're basing a show off something like that, it is kind of, you do have kind of a tough decision to be like, well, do we tell him who did it? We'd be like lying, essentially. So I don't mind that. I just
tried to tell us who did it.
Sort of, but then they did have that. I did appreciate this. The last scene was like a shot of like everyone, like, why is this person here? They're being suspicious now too. That was fine. I think what I didn't like was just how all over the place the finale was. Like, you have the fake out with the detective who was like, it was me the whole time, but it totally wasn't her.
Right.
And she explains that it was her for like, I swear to God, like 15 straight minutes. And then it just turns out it wasn't her. And I was kind of okay with that. I had accepted that. I was like, that's a pretty like interesting kind of like not bullshit explanation. And then they were like, nah, just kidding. But then like there were some things that happened in the show that I was like, you're going to explain that, right? And then they never did. Like the ghost girl. The ghost girl went unexplained. The ghost girl, now in hindsight, the ghost girl seems pretty stupid because clearly there wasn't a ghost girl in the actual case. And I that was the one thing, and I was like, everything in this movie could have happened except the ghost girl.
Okay, so did you look up if that actually happened or not? Because I'm not going to lie, that's the thing that horrified me the most in this show.
Well, yeah, it's the only thing that, as far as I can tell, is, like, supernatural about the show.
Well, it doesn't have to be supernatural. The Watcher could have let loose a person into the house through the secret entranceway. It totally is plausible.
Right.
But there's just no explanation who this person is what freaks me out.
That's what, because there's a lot of stuff in this movie, that in this TV show, that you're just like, oh, it's ghosts. This is a science fiction TV show, and then they explain what actually happened. You're like, oh, okay, that's a non-bullshit explanation as to why those people who got shot in the head are still alive. You know, but the ghost girl goes wildly, severely unexplained.
Yeah.
And
that is also the one thing I'm walking away from it with, like, I really wanted an explanation for that.
If I'm that dude, the main character dude, whose name I forgot because it's been a week or two, or maybe even 3 since I've watched it, that's the one thing that's on my mind as well.
Oh my God.
Like, the detective gives her reason for everything, and you're like, that all makes sense. And then you find out it's totally fake. And then if you're him, or if you're me watching, you go through all the steps, and you're like, okay, all right, okay, there was a ghost.
No, I feel you. And, like, the wife is, like, doesn't understand why he's obsessed with it. I would be, too, if that was me. If somebody had a video of me sleeping and there's someone fucking dancing around me,
yeah,
and then like,
cuddling
with
you
yeah.
as you're sleeping,
yeah, that would also upset me. That would be something I think about for a long time as well.
This is a question you probably know the answer to. Is it confirmed for season 2? It is, right?
I've heard it is. I've seen nothing about it, but everybody I know who knows this show keeps saying that there's going to be a season 2. Here's the thing, as long as it's not bullshit, I would love another season. I would love more happenings about this house. I'd hate if it turned into like an Amityville horror situation where they were like, we made one movie and it's kind of based off of real life, but now here's like 6 sequels in 3 remakes, and they're just wildly off the tracks compared to what actually happened.
Right. Yeah, it seems like they have been confirmed for a season 2. And the other thing that I just didn't like the finale. I think it was not a good episode of television, which is fine. The rest of the show was great. There's stuff about the finale I did like. Like I said, I liked the whole detective thing. I liked when he went back to neighbor's house and she was like finally cool or whatever.
Yeah.
I
also like that.
They don't explain if weird dude is actually dude from the story.
Right.
Which then they like give him a new name at the like last second of the show. Hello, welcome on in. We're briefly talking about The Watcher, which I know you've seen also. Yeah.
Promise we're going to talk about Glass Onion.
Yes, yes.
This is probably the only honorable mention, at least for this episode.
What I was also the final episode spent a lot of time on Jennifer Coolidge. Is that who it is? I always confuse Jennifer Coolidge and Jennifer Connelly, but I think it's Jennifer Coolidge. It spends
you're right.
It spends a lot of time on her character, who like the main character and his wife Naomi Watts are in a murder mystery TV show essentially, and then she buys the house and she's immediately in a horror movie.
Yeah,
where the house is actively trying to kill her, and I am a little confused, like what changed.
I think
like how come the Watcher, if they are real, was like, I'm gonna actively fuck with these people, and then when Jennifer Coolidge moves in, she was just like, we're gonna kill her.
I have an answer for that. I don't think that was the Watcher. I think that was the main characters.
Oh, you think that it was
because he wrote a letter. He admitted to writing a letter, so he's not above
he knows how
pretending
to do it,
to be the Watcher.
So you think that was Naomi Watts and guy from Ant-Man?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Fucking with them?
Yeah,
fucking
because
with her?
they're chill with the neighbors now, so they're gonna let them use the secret entrance into their house if they really wanted to. So why not? Right?
Yeah. Because they had a personal thing with Jennifer Coolidge's character.
Good question. Drizzle, I think that was left intentionally ambiguous.
I interpreted that I didn't know you watched this show. That's cool.
Yeah.
I interpreted that as they're both secretly watching the house. I don't think that she knew that her husband was there.
Yeah.
That's how I interpreted that. But like you said, it was definitely left open. Because the conversation they had on the phone beforehand, it seemed like she was, because he was lying, obviously, because he was watching the house. It seemed like she was suspicious of him, but then once you see her pull up, it kind of recontextualizes that conversation. You think maybe the, like, hesitance that you're hearing in her voice is her also not trying to get caught, because she's also lying about where she is, because they're both at the house right now, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was good. It kept me entertained. Didn't love the last episode, which is fine. It didn't ruin the show for me. There was a lot of questions I knew were never going to get answered, and there was some that I thought for sure I'd get an answer for, and I didn't, which is fine.
Yeah.
But that being said, like if season 2 happens, I don't think we're ever going to get an explanation for the ghost girl.
No. Well, yeah, that's sadly going to haunt me forever. But I'm really glad to hear that I made an unintentional recommendation for Drizzle and Tsunami. We're probably going to start switching over to Glass Onion, but I'd love to know what you guys thought about The Watcher as well. Did you like it? Did you not like it?
Did you have any honorable mentions? Because I have another one, but I can wait until the next podcast.
Yeah, let's do it on the next one. I think I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Okay. Then let us talk about Glass Onion. What is it called? Glass Onion : A Knives Out Mystery?
Yeah.
That's what the title we're going with?
Yeah.
I do appreciate that. I don't know if I love the phrase a Knives Out mystery, but I do like that it's not called Knives Out 2. I know that's what it was called in pre-production, but I think that would have, because I was thinking about that a lot. And this is not a sequel to Knives Out, which
it's doing what this genre likes to do best. It's following the detective.
Yeah.
which is really cool.
Yeah, it's following the format that Agatha Christie set up.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is awesome. I'm really liking the two franchises we're getting. And I that's a good word for it. Just going back to the Watcher real quick. Drizzle says the best word for it was captivating. I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's an interesting watch because it is kind of like a mystery. I mean, I am talking about Watcher now, but I didn't really find myself like trying to figure it out. I was just like, I need to see more to see what happens.
Yeah,
but I wasn't. But take it over to Glass Onion or something like Death on the Nile, and the whole time you're like actively trying to like play detective.
I kicked his camera. I'm sorry.
and figure out what's happening. So okay, I love Knives Out.
Yeah,
Is
Knives Out is fantastic.
It's one of those movies that like really took me by surprise because it was a quarantine movie for us, but not for them. Like they filmed it before quarantine and then it released during quarantine, I believe, or something like that. Or maybe like right before it. But yeah, I like it a lot, and I've said this before, but Knives Out gets better the more repeat watch-throughs you have of it. That being said, I've only seen Glass Onion once, and I can only imagine the same goes for Glass Onion.
Right. Well, there's certain scenes in Glass Onion, like how it starts off and everybody's receiving the packages.
Yeah.
And you see how everybody approaches it. But then I can't remember her name. The one who just smashes it.
Andy.
Okay, yes, Andy.
Played by Janelle Monáe.
Okay. I believe you.
I forget her real name. Andy's the name of the one who was killed.
Right.
And the who we're actually following is her sister. I forget the sister's name.
But having that context.
Helen. It was Helen.
Yes. Wow, good job.
Thank you.
Having that context, and I'm sure there's other scenes, but this is the one I'm using as an example. There's just so many subtleties and explanations as to why they're acting the way they are. And I'm sure there's a bunch that we totally missed.
Are you referring to the fact that she smashes it open?
Yeah, she just doesn't give a shit.
And you think that it's because she hates this dude.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's because she doesn't want to solve it because she's not, like, in their group.
Right.
Or whatever.
Right.
No, yeah, there's a bunch of little things like that. I watched I watched New Rockstar's video pointing out Easter eggs and stuff.
Yeah.
And when they go back and they like retell the first like hour of the movie, I forget what it is, but Andy throws something into oh my god, character names. Blonde character who has an assistant who like doesn't care about vaccine COVID laws, COVID guidelines. She throws something into her bag, and then she takes her hat off to reveal that Andy was sitting there the whole time. If you look close enough, you could totally see her throw something into her bag.
Oh,
you
really?
You can like see a shadow
That's
of
cool.
it. You could just see like the little like boop.
I like that.
That's
cool.
what I appreciated.
Birdie. Her name is Birdie.
Birdie. That's right. Birdie, and her assistant's name is Pam. I remember that because she's drawing her name on the cup. This movie lies to you less than Knives Out does. I feel like the thing with the cup, right? The thing with like whose cup did Duke grab?
Yeah.
And they show you the footage the first time, and it's completely, if you go back, you're like, oh, he really did grab his cup. But then they show it to you again in his like memory, and they show it to you wrong, and then they show it to you again, and they're like, this is what actually happened. But then if you go back, you see that it actually is how it happened. In Knives Out, there was that one moment that's always frustrated me where she says Hugh did this, but they like changed the audio, so it sounds different.
Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's an example of Knives Out like literally lying to you, and I talk about this in my Knives Out comparison with Simple Favor video. But the one like moment like that in this movie is the handing over of the glass, and they like didn't fake it this time,
Right.
which I thought was which I appreciated.
No, it sounds like they stayed true to form with most everything in this film, which I'm sure was a bit of a complaint they may have gotten from the first one. Something they were like, we could do that a little better in the sequel. What I really appreciate, and it's actually confusing the Agatha Christie franchise that's going on with Knives Out, is this was a totally different film than Knives Out.
Mm-hmm.
And I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I feel like they were deserved this. If there's a third one, I'd like them to move away from this, but it's a real classic Clue whodunit murder mystery. This one. Knives Out wasn't. Knives Out was some crazy genre bending shit.
Yes, genre bending is important to bring up, because Knives Out really like you think you know murder mysteries. Well, watch this one, because you're watching Knives Out,
Right.
and spoilers for Knives Out, a movie we're not talking about, but you're watching Knives Out, and they tell you who gets murdered, then they introduce all the characters, then they introduce the detective, and then like 3.5 minutes after that, they tell you who did it, and then you know who did it for the whole movie.
Right.
Except you really don't. But like and then after you find out who did it, the rest of the movie, the like act like 1.5 until the beginning of Act 3 is like a completely different genre of movie. It's like an action movie.
Yeah.
About this woman like running from the cops essentially. And then it gets back around at the very end, and it's like, hold on, let's open this murder mystery back up. What's going on with that? That's fucking crazy, right?
I like this explanation.
And I feel like Glass Onion tipped the genre on its head in a different way, where
it seems cut and dry, but then there's some layers to it that makes it more complicated.
Yeah. Which is I guess what you could say about Knives Out, but like for a completely different reason.
No,
like
I know what
you're
saying.
watching Knives Out, and you're like, halfway through the movie, you're like, I get it. Marta did it. It was an accident, and she's got to figure out how to get away from it.
Right.
Well,
that's the thing. Knives Out, they give you the killer, but then the twist is it wasn't actually that person. In this movie, they give you the murder, but the twist is that's not the murder that they're actually trying to solve.
Right. Yeah.
Which is crazy. That was cool. That was a cool concept.
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. And then you find out that that the person, and you almost kind of find this out at the same exact time as Benoit Blanc, which I appreciate when movies do that. But you find out that the new murder and the original like flashback murder that you're trying to figure out was in fact the same person.
Yeah. I just lost my thought is what I did. I love the connections that they make to Clue in this movie, because this is clearly their interpretation of that style of murder mystery.
Yeah. There was a lot of yeah, you keep going. Sorry.
I obviously loved the bait and switch of whose murder we're trying to solve. I did think the way I think both, not catalysts for the reason why these people were murdered. The catalyst for the first murder was cool. He's made this very dangerous form of energy. She didn't want him to do it. They own the company together. He gets rid of her. Cool. I think making up this fucking COVID pill, this is going to save you from COVID, and the whole reason this exists in this entire movie, because I was sitting there like, that's going to be important. That's going to be super important.
Oh, you mean the COVID vaccine gun that Ethan Hawke from Moon Knight shoots everyone in the mouth with?
Yes. Do you know why he was in that movie?
That's why I call him Ethan Hawke from Moon Knight, because he
Okay.
was filming Moon
Yeah,
Knight,
yeah.
and then he was like, "Yeah, I'll stop by to film a scene and then piss off."
Yeah. The whole point of that entire, it's just too extravagant for them to do nothing with and just be like, well, it's so he's allergic to pineapple.
Well, here's the thing, right? This movie did not have to take place during quarantine.
No, well, that's what I'm saying. They made such a big deal, and I was so excited. I was like, wow, they're on top of it. How is COVID gonna play a role in this film?
And then
Is somebody's thing not working? Is it intentionally not activated, and they're gonna get COVID and die? But it's technically a murder because they were intentionally
right, yeah,
given. And I was going down the rabbit hole on this COVID gun,
right.
anti-COVID gun, and its potential for this film, and it was just so this guy can say, "Hey, I'm allergic to pineapple." There's no pineapple in that, right? And it's like, no.
That could have, yeah, they could have done that a different way.
Yeah.
That was.
He could have been handed a drink, Anthony. He could have been handed a drink, and he could have been like, "Is there pineapple in that?"
Yeah.
And they could have been like, "No, there's not." He's allergic to pineapple. We gave you that bit of information, audience.
Yeah, that was my one. I had two small complaints about this movie. My first one was the anti-COVID gun that the main bad guy from Moon Knight shoots in everyone's throat.
Yeah.
And then when world-famous detective Benoit Blanc is like, "What's in that shit?" Ethan Hawke's just like, "Don't worry about it. Bye." My other complaint was the dude that's just on the island as a joke.
Oh yeah,
Maybe
you think
don't-
he's gonna play a role?
Well, I kind of figured he wasn't, but just don't do that in a murder mystery. Don't put a random guy on an island and be like, it could be anyone. Oh, but not him. He's just a joke. Ignore him.
That's fair.
And that's I guess that was the point, but it wasn't. Here's what I'll say: that character and all of his scenes wasn't funny enough to justify his presence,
I'll give you
because
that.
it made me more anxious that he might be involved than it did make me laugh. Does that make
Sure.
sense?
Yeah.
So it kind of almost didn't feel worth it. And then at the very end, when Benoit Blanc's like, "Well, I'm done here. I'm not in this scene anymore," and then he leaves, and then you see him hanging with that guy. I was just like, this is out of character for Benoit Blanc. Benoit Blanc would have been like, "And what about you, sir? Why are you did you have anything to do with this?"
Right.
I guess not. Did you know? I looked this up because I saw an article, and it was all the cameos in Knives Out, and I was like, I wonder if I missed any, and I didn't, except one. Did you know that the hourly dong was voiced by Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
Oh, in Glass Onion, you
Yeah.
mean? Oh, okay. You said Knives Out.
Oh, whoops.
Glass
Onion. Yeah, you know how every hour there's just a
Yes.
person that says dong?
Yes.
It's Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
That's cool. I hate that they name dropped Philip Glass in that fraud, in that piece of shit.
I thought that was hilarious because I think Philip Glass is a terrible composer.
So do I.
Yeah, and I thought that was just so funny and so fitting that it was just yeah, I got Philip Glass to compose someone saying dong. And I was just like, yeah, it sounds like
he did.
That actually probably was the biggest laugh for me. I was like, oh man, what a hack. Sounds like something he would do. Yo-Yo Ma showing up was a nice surprise. This
That
movie,
was cool.
This movie, I took that out to take a sip, and then I never did. This movie had a really big emphasis on music, and I really appreciated it. So one of the puzzles in the little puzzle box has to do with a fugue, and rather than having one of our people, rather than having Duke's mom explain what a fugue is, actual literal Yo-Yo Ma shows up. One of the the world's best cellist, and he's just a random person at this what were they called? Pod parties. They were a real thing that people thought were okay to do during quarantine for a bit there.
Oh yeah.
And they had him explain it, and then they do that I forget the director, but the thing where you split the screen, and now it's
Mm-hmm.
they included him in one of those, and I was just like, oh cool. and then like the Miles Braun character like loves music, and all his music opinions are either incorrect, so straight up bad, or like completely like what you expected. Like he has a I don't know if you caught this because I didn't. But he has like in one of the shots you can see a picture of four famous musicians on his wall.
Okay.
And I was trying to figure out how
this
they were.
is dude from Fight Club. Oh my
Ed
god.
Norton's
This
character.
is Ed Norton's character?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
He has a bunch of artwork, and one of his art pieces is just like the heads of four musicians, and they all rhyme. It was like Iggy Pop and Ziggy Stardust and two others. It was just like a bunch of artists that rhyme with Iggy, which is just like, why does that matter?
Right.
He has a very famous piece from a very famous painter on his wall behind the bar, but people like you and me wouldn't notice this, but the internet was going crazy about this. It was upside down,
Good.
just to
Good.
show how like how fake he is.
Well, I love those little clues because that plays a part in the film.
Yes,
I love what a poser he is,
Yeah.
and that ends up being the point. And honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I didn't think about this at first. Maybe that Philip Glass scene was supposed to be funny. I didn't think it was supposed to be funny.
Yeah, I truly, having watched that movie and knowing all the like musical references and how like important music was to that movie, I think that was supposed to be funny for music nerds.
Cool.
Because
cool.
Philip Glass is like the modern day composer, right? Except he sucks, and all the shit he writes is like I did a piece in
I know you did. I sat through, not
Yeah.
because of you guys, but
No,
sat through because of the composition. An entire I was gonna say arc. I sat through an entire movement
yeah.
of Philip Glass music.
I don't know how many people watching know this about me, but I used to play viola. I went to college for it, and we had to play this piece.
We both went to college for music.
Yes.
In case anybody didn't know that.
We had to play this piece by Philip Glass. Do you remember what it was called? It was
No.
called like, it was one word. It was called like,
I think it was like it was something like that.
it was called like, yeah, it was called extended fart sound. It was called like space or like time or something like that. It had a really like ostentatious one word name. It was called like chastity or some shit. And it was literally like, no joke, straight up just like 15 minutes of bullshit. Like,
yeah.
no need to practice this. It's way too long. No one's gonna like it. It's just impressionist bullshit. And
you
it
know
sucks.
what
And it like
sets me
put
is
it
the school made you guys do that. Not only that, they like shout out to Philip Glass on Twitter or whatever.
no, Philip Glass shouted us out.
Right. And I was just sitting there like this
Which was cool.
yeah, I
but-
guess, but it sucked. It was bad. I mean, just to have my sister write something and shout her out, and it's like I don't know. Just because somebody's famous doesn't and they're alive
Right.
doesn't mean you have to do their stuff.
Yeah, no, you and I have talked about this before. We think it was like the decision to do that song, that piece, was probably like 85% what if he hears about it, that'd be cool.
Yeah. No, exactly. And it worked, and they wouldn't stop bragging about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's cool, it sucked. And it's not
Yeah.
and it's not the performer's fault.
So when he was like, oh, that's the hourly dong, and I was like, I get it, because dong means penis. That's supposed to be funny. He was like, I got Philip Glass to compose it. I was like, now that's funny. Because how long did it take him, Miles? Did it take him 3 years? And then you get to the end of the film, and if you're like me, you have no idea that the Beatles have a song called Glass Onion. I did not know that.
No?
No, and the credits, you love Clue the movie, right? You grew up with it.
Oh yeah, don't they do the Clue they like
Yeah, they flip the cards like
Yeah.
the end of the Clue credits, but the second they start doing that, because the credits start with like directed by, and the second they start flipping the cards, whoever's singing, I forget who it is, on that track says the word Clue.
Oh,
The lyric,
that's neat.
they literally, one of the lyrics has the word clue in it. Like, I haven't got a clue, and then as soon as he says clue, they start flipping.
Oh,
I
that's
was like,
cool.
this movie
A lot of
was
time
like,
and effort
this,
went into this film.
oh my god, yeah, yeah. Which is you can tell, and I really appreciate it because Knives Out, as great as that movie was, the biggest thing that like people know about the pre-production of that movie is that it was filmed like super quickly. Knives Out was filmed in like a month. Chris Evans had like just wrapped Endgame,
Wow.
and like just so happened to be free before his next thing, and like Daniel Craig wasn't supposed to be in the film. Like they wanted him in the film, but he like his schedule was not open,
Yeah.
and they were like, I guess we'll get someone else. I forget who it was going to be. I think Ben Affleck, somebody really bad, somebody who would have been real bad at it. So like that movie had like a month or two of filming, and then like maybe like a year and a half of post production, and that's it. And then it seems like they really took their time finally crafting this movie, which you could tell, and I really appreciated it. I think Rian Johnson knew that people were gonna expect this movie to bring it.
Yeah.
And he needed to be there to do that for the
To
people
have it be
expecting
brought.
that. To have it be brought, to be the one who brings, who bringeth. Yeah, this movie was exceptional. I especially liked the scene where Duke is watching Whiskey about to have sex with Miles Braun, because of all the scenes for them to go back and be like, here's what we're not showing you in the scene, I thought for sure there's no way you can recontextualize this scene. And then they totally did. I thought that was super impressive. I was just like, well done. That like, I thought for sure I knew what was going on in that specific scene.
Right.
But apparently I didn't. And then it recontextualizes the next scene where they're kind of arguing, like they're kind of not talking to each other. And then obviously, like, you think it's because he knows she's cheating on him, but in reality, it's because he made her do that and she didn't want to.
Right.
And then just all the things that like the movie tells you without telling you, like when he is showing him the news that Andy was murdered.
Oh my god, I was just gonna talk about that. I thought that was so cool.
That was, yeah. But you can totally see in the original scene, you can totally see the article on his phone. Not that you, the viewer, at that point would know what that is, but you can totally, like, I had a feeling something was up because, like, he said he threw out, he was like, my Twitch stream just went viral, and he threw out some numbers that were like not that like impressive, all things considered. I was like, that's really cool. That's not life-changing numbers the way you're acting right now. So I kind of had the feeling that something was up, but then I was immediately distracted by his death. And then the second act of the movie happened. Which I thought was cool. There's a few little things that I wanted to talk about real quick that I thought were cool at the beginning of the movie. I love that Benoit Blanc hates Clue. It's so it's so on brand.
I love the simplicity of Among Us.
Just completely. Yeah. The Among Us game was cool. Angela Lansbury's screen name is Murder She Solved, which is super cool.
Like, I don't know. Maybe you said that none of the cameos got past you, but there's a famous basketball player. Yeah, it was from Airplane.
It was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah.
He was actually the reason he was in that scene is because he's a murder mystery novelist. He's written murder mysteries before.
That's really cool.
And Natasha Lyonne, which once you figure that out, you're like, okay, now I think Natasha Lyonne is the odd person out. Natasha Lyonne is in a brand new, I think it's a Peacock original called Poker Face. It's a murder mystery. It's directed by Rian Johnson.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is why they, it wasn't just, hey, look, Angela Lansbury, isn't that cool? And then a bunch of random people. It was hey, Angela Lansbury, isn't that cool? And then three people who had something to do with something.
That's awesome. Yeah, no worries. No worries, Toga. You chill out. We'll be doing our thing.
Yeah. And then when Helen goes to Benoit Blanc and she's basically like, here's a mystery, please figure it out. And he writes her off, or writes himself off basically, and says, I'm not Batman, I can't just like I can't just like show up, solve it, and go. He actually says, I'm not the world's greatest detective, and then he says, I'm not Batman, as if to say like, yes, I was in fact referencing Batman when I said world's greatest detective. And then a few minutes later, and I didn't hear this during the movie, I heard this in the new Rockstars video I watched, but when he's figuring out, when he's like, oh, he's just sort of sitting there being like, oh, and he's like figuring out how they could like finagle this.
Yeah.
You can hear Danny Elfman's original Batman theme leitmotifed like faintly in the background.
That's cool.
Which is like
that's really cool.
Not something they had to do. I'm really like happy that they did that. That's like very cool. That song like keeps showing up in movies it has no right being in.
He's probably making decent money.
Oh my god, yeah. No, tell me about it. And we got away from it, but I wanted to talk about something else real quick, which is like in movies like this, in murder mystery movies, because even if there's not a murder, that's kind of what the genre, is.
Yeah.
Like I referred to Watcher as a murder mystery earlier, but there's no murder. It's just a mystery. But in movies like this, there's always like that moment where it's like, oh, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Now that I understand that, I as an audience member understand like the motive, or perhaps like I now have the one bit of information that had I had going into this movie, I would have figured it out right away. And I like that in Knives Out movies, that bit of information is always like not what you expected. Like the bit of information in Knives Out that you didn't have is that she didn't switch the vials because she's a really good nurse.
Right.
In this one, it's Miles Braun is an idiot, which is both funny but also like, yes, of course that's the like
right.
I also didn't pick up on all the dumb shit he was saying, but of course that's the thing. But it's not like it's so interesting to me that it's not like your classic like, and here's the moment where I reveal the thing and you were really the husband. Like it's not like, oh, what? A bit of information we literally didn't have yet. It was like
it was just there the whole time.
Yeah, it was just like you could kind of probably tell that this guy was an idiot the whole time. What if we told you all of his murders and how we're going to solve what he did hinges on the fact that he is, yes, in fact, an idiot.
I think overall a very fitting sequel to Knives Out. Do we know if there's plans for a third movie?
And a fourth one.
There is?
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah,
I'm really excited for
Netflix
those.
bought out Rian Johnson for 3 additional Knives Out movies. So there's
Wow.
going to be 2 more at least.
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. I'm really excited for that.
I'm excited too. I've already I have sort of like a wish list of people I want in a Knives Out movie.
Oh, okay. Should make a video essay about it.
Maybe I will. I was gonna enumerate them right now, but maybe I will.
Yeah, hang on to that. I think that would be a good video. Anybody else in chat see Knives Out? Want to talk about Knives Out?
Glass
Now
Onion.
is the time. Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery.
I also appreciated that Glass Onion wasn't just a metaphor. There was actually a glass onion.
That also plays into the to his like. How do I word this? His simpleness. I guess. He's just like on the nose.
Yeah. No. Yeah. How someone mentioned glass onion as a metaphor, and he was like, "Oh, neat."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "I'll build that," and then he did. The fucking Mona Lisa security system was so stressful.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I was
Yeah.
waiting for that to like cut someone's hand off or something. Like that was suspenseful just for the sake of adding suspense, which was very interesting to me, because there was the fact that the security system was so sensitive. There was really no payoff.
No,
that.
except that it got destroyed.
Right. Right, but that has nothing like
Yeah, it has nothing to do with it going up and down.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I like there's a moment in Knives Out at the very very end where the coffee cup moment. I'm sure I don't need to explain it. Unless you'd like me to.
I'm struggling to remember, but
Harlan
Knives Out, did you
Yeah,
say?
Knives Out.
Okay.
Harlan Thrombey has a coffee mug that says
yes,
"My house,
yes.
my rules, my something."
Yep.
And at the end of the movie, when Marta finally wins, she's holding the cup and she's blocking everything except the part that says "My house" because it's her house now, and everyone's looking up at her because they've looked down at her the whole. It's a big, huge metaphor. But there's that. It's right at the end, which this one's not exactly the last thing you see. The thing I'm about to talk about from Glass Onion, but there was this moment where I was like, that's so cool. It felt like it wrapped the whole movie up in a nice little bow. And the moment in this movie was when she was basically like, well, you got your wish.
The Mona Lisa.
Yeah,
yes,
people will always talk about you in the same breath as the Mona Lisa.
Right, that stupid thing he kept saying
whole
movie.
Which first of all didn't make sense the first time he said it.
No.
But they brought it all the way around. I thought
Yes,
that was
you're right.
I thought that was really cool, and I'm starting to see like parallels and repeating themes between the two movies, and I'm curious to see if a third one is going to have if it's going to be so predictable from that
Right.
aspect,
Or if it's going to break the mold a little bit.
Yeah, or if it's going to break the mold again, you know.
By the way, when you said the coffee cup scene, I thought you were talking about Glass Onion. Yes, of course I remember the coffee cup scene from Knives Out.
Yeah. I like the cast too.
Yeah.
I think the Knives Out was obviously a huge surprise. No one knew it was coming that it was going to be that good. Casting in that movie is very good, and I feel like Glass Onion once again had a lot of big shoes to fill. It had a lot of hype surrounding it.
I'd say it stuck the landing though.
Yeah, no, I did too. What I thought was interesting, and maybe there's no connection here at all, but Leslie Odom Jr., who played Aaron Burr in Hamilton, who was in this movie, of course, was also in Murder on the Orient Express, correct? He was opposite Daisy Ridley. They had like a secret interracial relationship that they were trying to hide.
Who was he in this movie?
The Miles Bronze assistant who hates him. The first guy you meet, the black guy. He's you see him get the package first, and then he calls Catherine Hahn.
Okay, all right, okay.
And he's on the phone with someone, and he's like, "Oh, I hate," he's like the Miles Bronze make the thing. He's the one who talks about how he only faxes and it's frustrating, and he's like, "Look at this."
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Vaguely remember him, sure.
Yeah. He when it came down to the whole plot of the Andy murder, he didn't really have that huge of a role, but he's part of the original 5 from the diner or whatever, from the original Glass Onion.
Okay.
And he was also in Murder on the Orient Express. So I wonder if that's just I don't know. I wonder if he is going to do more murder mysteries.
Yeah.
If that's or if it just so happens to be a coincidence.
Right. Very cool. Fitting sequel to a really good movie.
Yeah.
And we'll see what's to come next.
Yeah, I am excited. I think Glass Onion met the hype that I personally had for it. I think it a lot of people have really enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm the thing I'm the most curious about is if Knives Out 3 is going to follow the same format almost that these other two did, or if it's gonna break the mold even further.
Okay. Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I think that's going to do it for us on this episode of Cinematic Relief. But
Thank you for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe.
our channel has daily uploads from podcast video essays, Let's Plays to skits.
Be sure to watch on Twitch. We stream all our video game and podcast content live at 5 EST every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday.
Our intro is by Brad Kendrick and music by Froggy and the Friendship. Link to all that in the description below.
Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.